Hello friends, welcome. In today's episode, I'm going to be talking about where to buy vacation rental properties. Wouldn't it be awesome if we had a crystal ball to know exactly where to buy vacation rental properties? Unfortunately, crystal balls don't exist, but there is definitely data that will give you insights on where to buy. And by the end of this video, I'm going to share with you exactly how to analyze and look at that data so you can know where the most lucrative places are at. Understanding where to buy a vacation rental might be one of the most important aspects of getting started in the vacation rental business. Having the correct information to make the correct decision is vital. But where do you find that information? Well, you're in good luck because that's exactly what I'm going to cover by first helping you understand how to do the research on knowing where to buy. Second, I'll give you the data points that are crucial to understand when you're doing the research. And finally, I'll take you on a little journey of where I'm currently looking and why I'm looking in those areas. If you're ready, let's go. So this is exactly how I've searched for vacation rentals on where to buy. First off, I do a Google search, and I've talked about this in a lot of my videos, but number one, if you can start with a Google search on where are the best places to own a vacation rental property, that is where you want to start. And I did it all throughout the United States because for me, I didn't care where the property was at as long as it was in the United States. Now, obviously, knowing that, you're gonna have to do a little bit additional research as far as some of the other things, but I will talk about that and I'll cover all that. Now, once you do that research and you find out where are the best places to own a vacation rental property, you start looking at all the different publications. And there's a lot of them out there, and a lot of them have different lists, and you might find one on one publication, it might not even be on the second one. So that's key. If you can start finding some that pop up on multiple publications, and it's even better if they pop up on multiple publications year after year, that's an even better sign, right? Because if it's a one-hit wonder, just because something special is happening, like the eclipse was happening this year, and all of a sudden this area was really hot for a vacation rental, but next year it isn't, or previous years it wasn't, that might be something to consider. Now, once I have my areas selected, maybe my top 3, 4, 5 areas that I really like, and that you might even have some intimate familiarity with, that's also important as well. But then I compare it to a website that does the analytics for me called airdna.co. And when I look on AirDNA and I put that area in there, I want to look at the 3 key points that they have. Now, AirDNA, there's a free version that'll give you these 3 points that are important. There's obviously additional stuff you can pay for it that will give you even better insight. And honestly, it's not that expensive for the type of insight that it gives you, because AirDNA rules as far as when it comes to the analytics about vacation rental properties. But those 3 data points are this: average daily rate, right? So average nightly rate, how much are people paying per night on average to stay in this area? Second, occupancy rate, right? How often in general is that area occupied between 1 and 100? You know, if it's above 70%, 65%, that's definitely one to consider. Now, the third data point is the average monthly revenue that comes in from that area, right? On average. Now, there's going to be big homes, smaller homes, popular homes, less popular homes, but at least it gives you an average. It's good starting point for the data when you're looking where to buy. Now, once you have that, you have the data points, I would start researching the area. What is it about the area that attracts vacationers and people to go there? You know, for example, I actually just looked at this list not too long ago, and I found a city in Kentucky called Stanton, Kentucky. I'd never even heard of Stanton, Kentucky. I have no idea why people would want to vacation there or go there. And where are they coming from? Are they coming from big cities like Louisville, Cincinnati, Nashville? Why are they going to this area? And as I did a little bit of research, I found out it is an outdoor enthusiast area. There's lots of hiking, horseback riding, lots of things to do in that area if you love the outdoors. One area I remember was on the list not too long ago was Mena, Arkansas, for the exact same reason. It was kind of close to Hot Springs National Park, but I haven't seen it on any of the lists recently. So that's one thing to consider. Is Stanton a one-hit wonder like Mena was, or are there other things that I need to know to research? Other destinations I look at that are commonly on there are Myrtle Beach or maybe Gatlinburg, Tennessee. And when you do the research on those, Myrtle Beach has been a destination for people traveling to the beach for decades, 30, 40 years. It's a place where people go and continue to go. There's golfing, there's the beach, there's places to eat, entertainment there. It is a destination that people like to go, right? But a lot of people know that. So could it be saturated? Absolutely. So finding the right deal is really important. Gatlinburg obviously is the gateway to the Smoky Mountains National Park that has over 12 million visitors per year. And it has for many, many years, for decades as well. So once again, a fantastic area, but highly saturated with vacation rental homes. And I always tell everybody, I think a good litmus test would be, would you vacation there and why? If you can answer that question, and obviously you might have different interests than anybody else, but if you would go there and you would like to go there, I think that's a good test of why it might be a good area to consider. Or as I mentioned, an area that you're intimately familiar with. For example, I live in Southeast Idaho. About 70 minutes north of me is Yellowstone National Park, and there's an area called Island Park that I know really well. I've been going there for decades, so I'm very familiar with the area and what draws people to that area. Obviously, summertime with the national park is fantastic, but what about the wintertime? Well, it's a snowmobiling haven up there, and people love to go up there snowmobiling. There's fantastic trails. You can snowmobile into the park. So typically winters do really well as well. It's those kind of heel seasons of early spring and late fall that typically don't have many visitors. So you have to know that going into it. But I know it's a fantastic area just because I've seen what's happened up there and I'm intimately familiar with the area. Now, once you have all of that data, we need to do a deeper dive. The first thing we need to do after we have the data points, the area in mind, we need to look at any regulations. Regulations can inhibit any vacation rentals. It's a fairly new investment strategy, so many times regulations are always popping up and you just want to make sure that that's not going to ruin or dampen your vacation rental or the area that you're looking to buy. Secondly, can you afford that area? Obviously, if things are $1 million and your budget's $500,000, $600,000, I wouldn't even consider it. I would move on. The third thing is active listings. Are there already Airbnbs there? Are the people staying there? Do their calendars look booked up? I definitely start looking into that and doing the research there. The fourth thing, understanding optimal size of the home that is best, where most people are going to opt to stay at, right? So I typically look at a bedroom and bathroom count and look at which ones are typically rented the most. And finally, you got to look at a revenue target. And here's a general rule of thumb that I do for all of my revenue targets for every Airbnb or vacation rental that I potentially want to buy. And it's a general rule of thumb. It requires a lot more research, but at least gives you that starting point to say, yes, this would be something I would consider. And that is this. Number one is annual revenue at least 10% of the purchase price. If it is, you can do additional research. So for example, if you're buying a home that's $500,000 and annual revenue is $50,000, it would warrant additional research to consider it because you could increase occupancy, you could increase revenue, and it could jump easily up to 12, 13, 14, 15% just by you doing a few additional things. Now, the second data point is annual revenue 15% of the purchase price? If it is, that's a good deal and one that I would do a deeper dive into research. So if it's $500,000, it's pulling in $75,000 annually, I would definitely consider looking further into that to do additional research. And finally, if annual rents or revenue are 20% of the purchase price, it's a deal that I typically used to say do not pass up. But with interest rates as high as they are, you never know. But typically, if you found a property that's $500,000 and is pulling in $100,000 annually, that's to me is one that you would not pass up. If you do pass it up, I tell everybody send it my way. I'd definitely be interested. And just to make it fun, I did some research for this video and I looked at the most recent best places to buy a vacation rental property. And there's a few areas that I'd never seen before, and I actually got some of the AirDNA data for some of these. So let's jump into these. It'll be kind of fun. The first area that I wasn't familiar with at all was a place called Logan, Ohio. It's a little bit southeast of Columbus. And here's some of the data points. The typical home price in Logan, Ohio is $233,000. Occupancy rate is close to 60% on vacation rentals or short-term rentals in that area. And annual revenues was about $57,000 annually. So what does that say? If it costs $233,000 and annual revenues are $57,000, that's more than 20%. Now, this is a new area that just popped up. And once again, the research I did, it's a great place for outdoor enthusiasts that are looking to stay there. And I think all the people that were bottled up over COVID, you know, they're starting to get out. They want to explore the outdoors a little bit more. This could be a potential great investment, but I would caution you to look at the regulations, do a deeper dive if you're considering this area. But it had some of the really cool data points that I like when looking for vacation rental properties. And the other thing I don't know is because of the regulation, are there very few vacation rentals that are allowed in this area? Is the $233,000 average home price not including vacation rentals because there's very few of them, or does it include those? But there's a lot of homes that are really cheap, and so it brings the whole down. When you only have 10 vacation rentals, but hundreds of other homes, it's going to bring the average price down. So those are a few things that I do not know, but as far as fitting the financial model, it does pretty good. Another one I looked at just for data points was Spring Hill, Florida, that popped up on the best places to own a vacation rental. Now, the average home price there was $390,000. Occupancy rate was close to 70%. and annual revenue was about $39,000 a year. Now, in my mind, that barely meets the criteria of 10% of the purchase price. But I just want to give that to you as a data point. Those are areas that popped up on the best places to own a vacation rental just a few weeks ago. So where am I currently looking? Which areas do I like? Well, I do like Florida. A lot of areas in Florida are pretty exciting. A lot of people are moving there. A lot of people vacation there. It's one of the #1 destinations. I think just recently they came out with the top 5 areas in the US to vacation, and 3 of the 5 were in Florida. So I like Tampa, I like Orlando. We own a vacation rental in Orlando, but I also like Broken Bow, Oklahoma, where I own one, and I also like Blue Ridge, Georgia. Now, obviously those areas are saturated, so having a place that stands out makes a world of difference, but they're building a new casino right close to Broken Bow and Hochatown, which is where my property is at. So that's something to consider. That's going to draw more people. The lake is beautiful. It draws a number of people. There's a lot of things to do. It's really built around tourism, that little town. So everything is built around people that visit and vacation there. And obviously Blue Ridge is a beautiful place with the metropolitan area of Atlanta and people wanting to get out of the hot, muggy city. Traveling 2 hours north to a beautiful destination makes it worth it for people to get there. But here's a few other areas that I really like that I'm starting to look deeper into because some of the financial models seem to work really well. One is called McGaheysville, Virginia. There's a ski resort there. There's a lot of things to do in the summertime, and I've seen some really good deals on some properties with some annual revenue that look really good. Obviously, Logan, Ohio is something I'm interested in now, and a place called Columbus, Georgia that is just on the border of Alabama and Georgia, but it was #1 on the list, and I'm doing some additional research to find out why. Another area I really like is Acadia National Park in Maine. Now, some of those areas are getting really expensive, and to stay at certain places are really expensive, and so that's been a little bit of a deterrent for me, but it's an area that I really like that I'm looking more into. Now, every time I do this video, it seems like there's new places that are popping up, and I would encourage you to do your research because these are places that I've looked at, that I've seen, that I'm really interested in to buy my next vacation rental, but I'd encourage you to do your own research. And I'd encourage you, what have you seen? Comment below. Let's engage in a conversation. I'd love to find out where you're looking. And as always, I have a free gift for you, aaronsfreetraining.com. Go ahead and click on the link below. It is a vacation rental calculator that you put all of the input in, the revenue, the expenses, and it spits out to you whether it's a good deal or not. It takes all the guesswork out of it. But once again, thanks for stopping by. Have an amazing day.